Welcome to my kitchen. Today, I just wanted to really quickly show you how I break down a duck. Not so much break down, actually, as debone. Excuse me. I want to debone this, and in order to cook it fairly quickly and get it nice and crispy, one of the first things you want to do is make sure you have lots of paper towel on hand. Get it cleaned up nice, best you can, dry it. Another good thing to do is have a nice bowl so you can put all your trimmings and bits and bobs pieces in there. You also want to get a couple of knives ready. I like to use a smaller knife for little cuts and getting in there and whatever. And then I use a bigger knife just for basically breaking bones. I use the back side of it to whack and crack the bones if need be. So let's get started. One of the first things you want to do is locate the wishbone. And I don't know if you can see, but basically just right where the neck comes out, neck cavity, there's the two breasts right there, and the wishbone is right there. So I just take my little knife and I make a couple little cuts right down either side, the outside of the wishbone. There you go. And you just kind of dig your fingers right in there. The last thing I deboned was a Cornish rock hen, so it was much more delicate. There we go. A big tough duck. There's the wishbone there. So I'm gonna throw that in there in my bowl. Get that taken out. Next thing I'm gonna do, give her a flip over, and I'm just gonna cut it right down the spine there. Open up the skin. So going from there, see, this is why you have the paper towels handy. I like to have a couple of big, like a plastic cutting board like this handy, because they're easy to clean. I generally use wooden cutting boards for most of what I do, except for meat. So what I'm going to do is where I cut the skin there, I'm going to start basically like tearing it loose, and you're going to get the wing and feel the articulation there. That basically would be the shoulder joint, and you just want to get your knife in there to separate that. Okay, I got that. That joint is free, unlike a free joint. Now go over to this side, do the same thing. There we go. All right, that's free. Okay, now we're just going to start peeling the skin back. Duck is definitely one of the harder birds to do compared to like a chicken or something like that. A chicken practically just falls apart. Now I'm going to flip over to the other side and start pulling away those breasts from the rib cage. And again, this can pretty much all be done by hand. I'm going to use all these bones, this carcass, to make stock. Now I've got another articulation here on the legs. Those are, so I'm going to make another little incision there. And generally, there you go. Those should pop out pretty easily. You just kind of bend it backwards onto itself. Again, you want to free up that skin. This is very good. A little cut in there into the joint. There we go. Lovely. That is coming loose. The breast should separate fairly easily. Then you get a little bit of some membrane and stuff there you want to kind of cut away. And right down the sternum here, it kind of stays attached a little bit. So There we go. There we go. There. All right. So, yeah. Now that we've basically got it turned inside out, that should tear away. Right down to the tail there. All right. Now we have a carcass. This is basically your rib cage, sternum, spine that goes in there. And now what we have there. Looks a little better. You turn it over this way now. There. Now we have our duck. Despite all that nastiness, it looks pretty good, eh? Okay, so now what we're going to do is take out some of these bones. What I'm going to do is kind of cut around the top of the bone, attach some of that connective tissue, and then you just scrape down with the knife until you get to that next joint. And then when you get to that next joint, basically you're going to do the same thing. Find where all that connective tissue is and stuff. Make some little cut in there. Might lose a little bit of meat doing this, but that's all right because there's a lot of mostly chewy bits and cartilage and sinew, stuff like that. So let me get right in there. There we go. And start doing the same thing. You basically just scrape down the bone. You basically get to the end there. Then we go back to the outside. See, still looks like a little drumstick there. And this is where the big knife comes into play. You want to give it a good whack right there, just to break the bone. Now this, boom, comes right out. Now you have a boneless drumstick. So now we're going to do the other thing. Same thing to the other leg. And that same thing as the other leg. Once you get it scraped down, turn it back. Have your big knife. Took a second blow, but there we go. All right. Now we'll do the same thing over here. I'll just take this right out. Take the wings right off because it's just not worth fighting with. Chop that there. Take that right out of there. Cut out some of this connective tissue here and pull this bone right out. Okay, you get it right out of there. Okay, well, there we have it. We have a duck that has been deboned. You know what? Since I'm not really roasting this, I'm going to take out the ends here of these drumsticks that I left on. If I was roasting it and trussing it, I would keep those on. Now we have basically a big old floppy piece of duck skin with some nice meat attached. Basically thighs, drums, and breasts. Now I do have the tenderloins here, or the filet, or whatever you want to call it. This little bit of duck meat here. These are very nice piece of meat here on either side of the rib cage. They come off really easily. You just slide your thumb down the sternum. Now there's a piece of sinew on each one. It's a little slippery and tricky to get off, so it's nice to have a piece of paper towel handy. You grab onto it, slides right out. There we have it. There's a little extra meat there on the side. I'll probably just throw that in at the last minute. Maybe I'll put that in with a stuffing and And yeah, there we go. One deboned duck.